Hi sophomores, welcome to the lesson on how to use Photoshop. So as you can see, I already have opened my app, so you can go ahead and do the same if you're going to be following along or if you're taking notes. So once I get here, I am going to say create new. You can leave it as it is. You can usually change it later on, or as you're opening your images, it is going to change the dimensions as you go through it. One thing that I would recommend that you have on is your RGB color, because if you're using something like Adobe Color Wheel, you can get the number of a very specific color and you can type it in. So once you do this, you're going to hit create and it's going to bring this up. I am going to go ahead and go to File, Open, and that is how you bring on an image. So I'm going to open an image I got from the internet, and now I'm going to open it. So let me give you a brief overview of Photoshop as it stands. So this tool is your move tool, and that is what allows you to move things around, especially when you're working with different layers. You have your rectangular marquee tool, and each tool you will notice houses several things underneath it. So if you right click on a tool, it's going to give you several other options. All of these create different shapes. You have your lasso tool, and there's 3 types of lasso tools. The lasso tool allows you to get rid of things that you don't want. So for example, if I did not want the background on my puppy picture, I will trace the outline of my dog, and then I could be able to delete everything else. Then you have your quick selection tools. One that I highly recommend and use a lot myself is the magic wand tool. So once you start clicking on certain colors or groups of things that you don't want, you can click on it, you hit backspace or delete, and it gets rid of them. You have your crop tool, allows you to change your images. You have your eyedropper tool, which allows you to pick different colors and use them. You have your healing spot brush. And later on, you can learn more about that on your own. To start looking at imperfections in the images and getting rid of them. You have your brush tool, which includes your pencil tool. You have your clone stamp tool, eraser tool, your paint bucket, your pen tool to actually write. You have your text tool, okay? So let's start with the basics. If you notice, I have this right here, and it says layers. So layers are the way in which Photoshop works. So when you're editing the photos, you don't ever want to actually edit your main background. And that is because in case you make a mistake, you don't want to not be able to take it back and change it. So you can make new layers. You look at it right here, I can make a layer 1, and I can start to change things. We just talked about all of the tools, and this is your workspace. This is where you can work with different things. So let's get into some of the tools that I really want you to know about and that I really want you to know. So let's start with that tool. Do you see how when I clicked on it, it highlighted my entire thing? That is because my main background, it's locked. So I'm going to go ahead and unlock it, but I'm not going to work on that layer. I'm going to work on this layer 1 that I created. So I'm going to go into, and I'm going to say magic wand tool, and I just want to show you what it does. So if you click on something, do you see how it highlights groups of things? Once you hit delete, you can get rid of them. And if you ever have something that you selected but don't want to actually get rid of or just want to not work with, if you hit Control D, it's going to deselect it. So now let's go to your adjustments. If you look right here, I clicked on adjustments, and let's start with brightness and contrast. So brightness allows you to make something lighter. I can take it down. And contrast focuses on how those colors work together and how vibrant they're going to be. So I'm going to bring it up. And right away you can notice that brightness and contrast is going to make its own layer. That is because in case you want to get rid of it, it's an additive layer, you can take it off. Right here, you can see that there's little eyes. If I click on it, I'm going to see my original. If I click on it again, I'm going to see what I changed. The next one is levels, and it allows you to highlight or decrease certain colors. So let's go into default. Let's try and see if you move it up or down. If you're changing your blacks, your whites, your grays, here's what happens. And truly levels changes. It can edit what should be the whitest white and the darkest black. That is why you see that it works with black, gray, and white. Let's look at the next one, and I'm gonna go ahead and click on exposure. And exposure is an edit that changes how bright the image is. It's another tool you can use on top of brightness or instead of brightness. And our next tool that we are going to be looking at is black and white. So when you click on it, it makes your picture automatically black and white, and all of your colors transfer to gray. You can play around with some of these to see how dark it is going to turn, but it automatically just turns your image black and white. And the last one we are going to be looking at is photo filter. So photo filter allows you to, just like Snapchat or Instagram, put a filter on your image, and you can choose the color of the filter. You can say that you want it to show up as sort of orange or sort of blue, and you can decide how much density is going to have, meaning how much is going to overpower your image. So if you see, I clicked on it, my image stayed black and white, and now it has an orange tint to it. And you can see every single one of my changes is in its own layer. That's very important because you want to be able to get rid of them or delete them, and you don't want to change your main background. So once you have your image fully edited like you want it to, you're going to go to File, Save As, and I would recommend that you save the Photoshop file in case there's a new edit you want to make to the photo. But if you're looking to have your photos ready to turn into Canvas, you're going to change from Photoshop to a JPEG. Make sure that you name it. So I might say Ninoska Edit. Make sure that it's in the right folder you want it to, and you hit save. And that is how you save your images. And this is everything I want you to know about Photoshop. Use all of the tools I just went through in order for you to edit your 5 photos and turn them into Canvas. If you have any questions at any point, feel free to email me and I'll be happy to help. That is it for this lesson.